10.
Clemson and Florida State. Florida State's got a hot defense, as right now they're only giving up 1 yard per carry to the opposition. So Raymond Priester of Clemson's going to have his hands full. You look at Andre Wodsworth, is he the best defensive end in college football? Sam Cowart all over the field from his linebacker spot. Darrell Bush is back today. He didn't even play against Maryland last week. So a highly ranked defense, and I think Clemson's going to need more than Raymond Priester, though, aren't they, Gary?
I think you're right, and they may need it from the quarterback position. By the way, Clemson is willing to pass this year. Nealon Greene is their quarterback. He's hurting. That's the problem. He's got a turf toe. So it might be Brandon Streeter, a guy who's never played, let alone played against the top defense in the country. But they may need some magic to knock off Florida State. But, you know, one of the great traditions in college football is there's supposed to be some magic here. And, you know, let me try it out. Maybe I can get some magic here. Boy, that's kind of feeling pretty good. Does it? See if it does anything. Whoa, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think they got a chance. Chris?
Gary, that is some big-time magic, but it's nothing compared to the magic they're going to need if Nealon Greene can't go or can't finish the game. Streeter has played exactly 15 snaps. Bad defense to debut against. Meanwhile, Thad Busby, coming off a career game, only played a half against Maryland.
I'll tell you what, if Florida State can protect quarterback Thad Busby, it could be a big, big advantage for Florida State with their wide receivers going up against the Clemson defensive backs. The guy they look for today, number 9, Peter Warrick, could be one of the best receivers in college football. Has a big playability. Also, the thing that makes him a little bit better than the rest, he goes up just like that to make the big catch, averaging over 18 yards per reception in his entire career. I think the crowd in Death Valley will keep this game close for the Tigers, but eventually too much talent for Florida State. They'll wear them down and end up winning. This could be their second road win. Pretty impressive.
Well, Kirk, Florida State is going to the fast break offense about 80% of the time, and the reason is, and that's the shotgun with no huddle, the reason is they miss Warwick Dunn's legs and they substitute Thad Busby's arm. Now, they scored 50 last week. They're coming along. Air Knowles over Air Clemson. But note on this one, this will be the longest game of the day. Take some extra chicken and extra ribs down to Death Valley. You're going to be there a long time, my friend.
You're saying a lot of incomplete passes.
Yeah, a lot of incomplete.
You know, the Knowles have already played 16 true freshmen.
Wow.
That is amazing. Bowden says there's time to develop that running game, but he better bring a running game here to the swamp. He realizes it's going to be hard to beat Florida without one. Death Valley West. The tale of 2 Tigers seasons may hinge on this one. The loser's going to have a tough time getting back to that SEC championship game. They'll need some luck. Bowden's offense has scored a total of 2 touchdowns the last 3 years versus LSU. The offensive line's become a huge question mark. LSU's defensive line has answered some questions. Did it last week in Starkville. Laissez le bon temps rouler. It's a big game night in Baton Rouge as we check in with our primetime team, Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried. Guys?
It's going to be one warm night for college football down here on the Delta. The expected temperature at kickoff over 80 degrees and the humidity at 95%. Now, still no final decision has been made concerning the status of LSU tailback Kevin Faulk. Jerry DiNardo tells me that that hamstring of his doesn't have to be 100% for him to go, but he doesn't want to push him too early either.
It'll be his decision, you know, along with our medical staff. It's the type of injury that I don't think he'll really know until warm-up, so we'll wait until warm-ups are over and have him and the medical staff decide.
Now, if Kevin Faulk decides not to play, there's still not a lot of panic on offense. You have to remember his backup, Cecil the Diesel Collins, did have 172 yards against Mississippi State last week. The Bayou Bagels' biggest concern comes on defense. They've got to find a way to contain Auburn quarterback Damian Craig up in the pocket, because it's when he gets outside and begins to improvise that he really gets dangerous. Something wild always happens in this rivalry. Last year, burning buildings. This game has even caused an earthquake. And they'll get it on again tonight at 7:30 Eastern when I join Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried from the field.
Those guys are apparently off tailgating in Baton Rouge. We thank Adrian for that report. Hey, it's tough to win road games in the SEC if you don't have a running game. Auburn averaging less than 3 yards a carry. LSU's ground game, they can wear you down. They had a slow start last week, only 30 yards for the 2 tailbacks, like about 250 in the second half. They can throw it, too.
Well, Herb Tyler's having a great year. One of the reasons he's playing so well has been the emergence of one of his wide receivers, Larry Foster. Already 14 catches in just 2 football games. I think that gives LSU the big play on the outside to complement the great running backs. That'll be the difference tonight. Too many weapons, eventually wearing Auburn down. In the second half, LSU pulls this game out.
You know, Kirk, I coached against LSU in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Let me tell you something, folks. You better be a lot better than LSU if you're going to beat them on Saturday night in Baton Rouge. Auburn's a good football team, but they're not that good. LSU wins this one.
Something tells me your team was not a lot better than Baton Rouge on Saturday night. All right, that's the nightcap of ESPN's menu today. Baylor and Michigan, that excellent Wolverine team with their second game, trying to avoid the letdown. That follows College Game Day, and then Auburn and LSU. We will get back to that showdown up in Seattle as we continue from Gainesville. Scott Frost has had his troubles on the road. He's playing in a tough stadium today. Leonard Little, he's made the big plays for the Vols defense this year. Can that continue? Plenty on the Gators and the Vols also ahead.
Could you help me with the computer?
You need a laptop.
That's too small. I just wanted something to email my grandson.
Email? I got one more for you. Video conferencing. This puppy, great for presentations. 80 megs of RAM, DVD, lots of fonts. You like fonts? Of course you do. Everybody likes fonts. 900 megawatts, 1200 dpi color printer.
Gateway systems feature Intel Pentium processors. Call us and get one that's right for you.
See the world run. Run, world, run. Run. See Texaco run. Visualize, hypothesize, explore, and relentlessly search and find the energy the world needs to run. Run, world, run. Texaco, a world of energy.
Mark Hayes came to Bristol specifically to study under Dean Berman, whose forte is football rhetoric.
Drew Bledsoe, nickname, who wants a crack at it?
Drew bled so much that he needed a transfusion.
Boring. Ms. Allen.
It's a trick question. Drew Bledsoe has no nickname.
Students are taught not just how to ask questions, but more importantly, how to ask questions about football.
It may be a stupid question, but
There's no such thing as a stupid question, Mr. Hayes. Just stupid people that ask questions. Yes.
Does dysentery rhyme with Singletary?
Perhaps the three biggest games today take place in three of the loudest stadiums in college football. We're getting a small taste of that outside the swamp as the countdown continues to Florida and Tennessee. Meanwhile, two teams this highly ranked have never before met up in Husky Stadium. A Washington win, sorry Gator fans, could push them to the top of the coaches poll no matter what happens here. Jim Lambright, his team, they're not backing away from talking about the importance of this game. Thanks to a group of seniors, they have survived harsh Pac-10 punishment. They are ready to reclaim what they believe is rightfully theirs.
I think, being on probation for the 2 years that we were not being on TV, I think it's time to let these seniors go out on prime time.
This was all part of, if you stick it out, here's where we can get to.
That's why we came here. Once you sign that line, you can't quit. I mean, no one in this class is a quitter.
This game is kind of like a milestone for Huskies program. I mean, this game is so big. We got so many things to prove to the nation.
After we beat Nebraska, everybody will know that the Purple Storm is back.
Ooh, talk smack.
Ooh, yeah.
Washington's on the quarter system. They're not going to start school for 9 more days. They will have played 4 games. They're all cooped up in the dorms. Is that a plus?
Oh, for a coach's standpoint, that's a tremendous advantage. The reason is they focus on football, not academics or their girlfriends. Man, it's like a pro football atmosphere. Great advantage.
Hey, forget it. From a player standpoint, you want to focus on your girlfriends and on class. Just to break up the monotony. You've been in 2-a-days, it seems like, for 5 years. You need to break it up with something.
You can't cut them off from their girlfriend.
Yeah, well, maybe you could.
As for the Huskers, it doesn't seem too long ago they were considered some invincible monster on their way to a three-peat. Steve Cyphers now returns to chronicle the fall and perhaps the rebirth today of the Huskers. Steve?
Chris, 364 days ago, life was good in Nebraska. Maybe too good, too comfortable. A blowout over Michigan State was followed by an off week, and then the Huskers headed to the desert, where Arizona State shut down the 2-time defending national champions. This season, the Huskers dominated Akron, but then last week looked shaky against Central Florida. True, they've only lost twice in the last 364 days, but things look and sound different in Lincoln.
It hasn't even been a year, but so much has changed. Last year going into Arizona State, you know, we were on the top of the world. We're going for 3 national championships. You know, everybody kind of thought we couldn't be beat.
It hasn't even been a year, but so much has changed.
This year we come off a tough win against University of Central Florida. We don't think we're as good as we, you know, probably thought we were at the beginning of the season, and we know we've got a lot to prove.
A lot of the people around the nation are saying that we lost our glamour, lost our respect around the nation, and you know, it's a time for us to come out and play a great game.
For the first time since the last time Nebraska played Washington, 1992, the Huskers are an underdog in a regular season game. It is a game, they say, that will define their season. A game that, for one, could define a career. Is this a defining game for you?
I think so, just because it's my senior year, and if we don't have the kind of season we want to have this year, then it's my last chance.
Frost is Nebraska's prodigal son, the one who transferred home from Stanford to assume the unenviable task of replacing the Tommy Frazier. The one who last week heard something very few Huskers, and never Frazier, ever heard at home.
Scott got booed. Scott got booed, but mainly by our student section.
Which I thought was just basically childish, you know, do something like that. I mean, the crowd basically showed me that, I mean, fans all over can be fair weather friends.
Oh, I was upset. Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. I was playing well, doing well, and, you know, it's just something that got me upset, and I actually played better because of it.
He completed 9 of 14 passes with no interceptions and a touchdown. And he ran 10 times for 52 yards and another touchdown.
He played well for us last year, and he's playing better this year.
I was the best I've graded since I've been in Nebraska.
In fact, Osborne says, it's the best any Nebraska quarterback has graded in his 25 years as head coach. But Scott Frost got booed.
It's something that when things like that happen to you, sometimes you might not have the same endearment for your school that you might have had before, honestly. And, you know, I really appreciate the players I played here with and the coaching staff and things like that, but I won't look back with quite the fondness on the university as I might have before.
In 2 meetings, Osborne has not beaten the Huskies, but one of his players has, Scott Frost. As a sophomore at Stanford, he came off the bench in the second quarter for injured Steve Stenstrom.
That was a long time ago, you know. It was in the pouring rain at Stanford Stadium. I came in late in the second quarter and finished the game, and we were lucky enough to beat them. It's not that big a deal, but I am familiar somewhat with what Washington does.
Not a big deal then, but perhaps a huge deal today.
This could be a defining game for Scott. This could be whether or not the fans like him, you know, or cheer him, or whether or not they boo him.
Frost didn't play, but was on the sideline here as a freshman at Stanford, and he's assured his teammates that it is as loud as people say it is. And incidentally, Chris, in Nebraska practice this week, as they had that crowd noise piped in, it was so loud that reportedly some university faculty complained.
Steve, it's never quite the same as the real thing, though. It's been a case of London calling to the faraway towns. Husker fans want Frankie London. The backup's more of a big play guy than Frost. Many fans want to make the change anyway. Osborne says no, he's not going to do it unless Frost gets hurt. Let's break down the game now. When Frost and the company have the ball, they'll face a defense that hasn't allowed a run, Kirk, longer than 13 yards, -5 yards to BYU and San Diego State.
Well, I think that's the thing. Nebraska realizes that Washington's going to come after them with an attacking style, crowding the line of scrimmage. Nebraska will be able to have to really mix the run and the pass. And you just heard from Scott Frost. He's going to need to have a big day today. He's a big, strong quarterback that definitely has the ability to run the option, has the speed, and also has the ability to break tackles. The big thing today, Scott Frost has got to be able to throw the football. Nebraska's got to be able to give him time, not only on play-action passes, but also from the pocket. I like Scott Frost. I really do. I think last year, Frost endured a great deal of pressure trying to fill in for Tommy Frazier and all those national championships. This year, Scott Frost is playing within himself. And all that booing that's going on in Lincoln, that's only motivating. I think today he plays very, very well.
Watch Nebraska to come right out and challenge the defensive team of Washington's manhood. They're going to run right at them and find out if they're tough enough to take them on. And if Washington's going to win this game, they're going to need Tony Parrish, the strong safety and All-American, to come up and make some good plays. If Washington contains the Nebraska run, too bad Nebraska can't win throwing the football.
Now, when the Huskies have the ball, Brock Heward, remember, just 1 interception in his last 158 attempts, become great at checking off. A lot of big runs resulted from his audibles, and he's great in the red zone.
Yeah, one thing about Washington, when they get into the red zone, watch out. the fat lady's starting to sing, excuse me, but swing and sing. She's coming to bet because let me tell you something. In the last 2 years, the Huskies have scored touchdowns, not field goals, 80% of the time in the red zone. Brock Hewitt can throw the football, fades, quick passes, anything he wants. I'd love to see the University of Florida play Washington. Then it would be no field goals, all touchdowns.
Sing and swing and everything else. You know, the Huskies, they realize that making mistakes, they're not going to do that on offense. Nebraska's going to come after Washington with a great deal of pressure, putting a lot of blitzes and everything they can up on the front because of Brock Hewitt's ability. They need to pressure Washington in the hopes of stopping the running game and getting to that quarterback, Brock Hewitt. Jason Peter needs to step up today. Nebraska has only 3 sacks on the year. Front 4 very strong, but will they be able to bring the pressure on to Brock Hewitt? I think in the first 2 games, Nebraska's looked very vanilla with their defensive schemes. Today, forget it. They bring everything in the hopes of trying to slow down this offense.
And if it's kicking game, the Huskers had the best punter and kicker in school history. Tony Barnhart rejoins us. You've been a UW man. You tabbed them #1 back in May. It's not going to make you popular here, but what do you think today?
Well, I'll tell you what Kirk says about Scott Frost makes me all warm and fuzzy. I'll tell you what. Look, this is a money game, folks, and my question is, can Scott Frost step up when the money's on the line and play with the big boys? I don't think so. Look, Nebraska, they're going to have trouble with the running game. Washington will control the Nebraska running game. They won't stop it, but they'll control it. And Scott Frost is not good enough to win this game with his arm. Kirk, I tell you, Washington wins, and it may not be close.
Am I allowed to come borrow this?
Absolutely. One time.
Not so fast, my friend. Nebraska wins this football game for 3 reasons. Number 1, they've been backed into a corner. They're going to come out fighting. Don't ever disrespect the program like Nebraska. Watch how they play with emotion today. Second thing, they're going to create turnovers and be able to get field position on the other side of the ball. And the last thing, as Tony just mentioned, Scott Frost today quiets all the critics, plays very well, and plays with great poise. Nebraska, they get it done.
The real not so fast, my friend. Washington wins this ball game for one basic reason. They're faster. They got a hostile environment there. Nebraska's a good football team, but they're not good enough to beat Washington, who these fans would like to know might be the best football team in the nation.
That is one of the most compelling matchups of the season. You better have that clicker ready. It's a shame it doesn't have the spotlight all itself. It's an ABC regional game starting at 3:30. Most of the country west of the Mississippi will see the Huskies and Huskers. You also see it if you are in New York and New England. By the measuring stick of the difference between how often the team wins at home compared to the road winning percentage, Husky Stadium is the #1 home field advantage the last decade among the teams in the power conferences. The Swamp does rate among the best, even though the Gators are also a very good team on the road. Noisy, steamy, claustrophobic concrete coffin for visitors built on top of an authentic sinkhole here. The Swamp has become a 90s tradition.
The home field advantage is what the Swamp is all about. You've got over 80,000 people screaming Gator fans that bleed orange and blue. I mean, who wouldn't have a home field advantage?
Teams, they're intimidated because people always say we have the loudest stadium in the nation regardless.
I know several games, about 3 games in the 7 years I've been here, I've actually put my fingers over my ears because the noise is really hurting my eardrums.
Everyone's intimidated.
Knowing they got to deal with our fans, they got to deal with us for 60 minutes. I mean, anybody should get intimidated. The band starts playing and you just, it's like this. Something like that, baby.
We don't like losing here, you know. We always want to win in the Swamp, and we just really play our best here.
We don't want them to win. This is our house.
And in their house, only Florida State and Auburn have won as visitors in the 90s. We'll break down the balls on the game. Sports.
Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina. They've touched the rock, and now they're ready to rock against the top team in the ACC. Clemson dominated the 80s, 5 conference crowns in that decade. But since Florida State became the 9th member of the ACC, it has been all Noles ever since. They've owned Tiger Country as well. We'll see about that today as Clemson, the number 15 team in the country, gets set for the 5th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. Hi, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. Welcome to a hot day in Clemson, South Carolina. The big question right now for Clemson at 2-0 is Nealon Greene, their starting quarterback. Can he go? We'll find out from Tommy West and Dean Blevins on the sideline in a moment. But, Gary, I don't even know if we have to worry about offense today. It's a day for the defense. And
well, you know, Florida State lost a pair of bookend defensive ends that were both #1 draft choices. So what do? They shuffle the deck, and they got just as much D this year as they did last year. They can let it go.
Yep.
But, you know, Clemson's no slouch either. They're only giving up 60, so it's a big double D game this week. We got Origin guarded and plenty of defense.
Double D defense. We get set for Florida State and Clemson. I don't know. At any rate, we're going to find out about the quarterback situation, about Clemson Tigers as well. When we come back, we get set for 2 teams that are looking to rock the standings in the Atlantic Coast Conference. From Clemson, we'll have the kickoff when we come back.
New York, I'm John Saunders. Out to your game in just a moment. But first, let's update a couple of scores. Penn State routing Louisville right now. There's about 2 minutes left in the game, 57-21. And the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame continue to struggle. They're down 14-0. Todd Schultz with a touchdown pass and a run. Now, today on ABC, plenty of action. We'll keep you up to date on all of it, including Brock Heward leading his Washington Huskies against Nebraska. Andy Katzenmoor, just a sophomore, one of the great defensive players in the country. They'll host Arizona. Florida State this week ranked #5. Thad Busby was sharp last week. Today he takes on #15 Clemson. And Tavian Banks, how about this guy? 2 games, 517 yards. They'll face Iowa State, a team that has struggled. And we will, of course, keep you up to date on all of these games. We'll see you at halftime. Right now, let's get out to your ball game.
We know that Clemson will be on defense first, but Dean Blevins, who will be the quarterback when they do get the ball?
Tommy, it literally was a game-time decision. Will Nealon Greene start for you today?
No, he's not going to start. We're going to start Brandon Streeter. He was gimpy in the warm-ups a little bit and talked to him in the locker room, and he doesn't feel like he can start it. We'll see how they're going to play. Maybe the opportunity will be where he can come into the game, I hope.
All right, thank you, Tommy. Good luck. Guys, he says that Brandon Streeter is a guy with a low pulse. We'll see how fast his pulse is beating here in a few minutes.
The Noles can tend to activate that pulse a little bit. There's a guy going for his 200th win at Florida State. Bobby Bowden. They've won 5 straight over Clemson. Clemson won the toss and deferred. They'll kick it off. And that's David Richardson, who's got it teed up from Death Valley. Jermaine Stringer and Lavernius Coles back deep for the Noles. And from Memorial Stadium, we're underway. Nice hit. And he's going to bring it from 5 yards deep. Stringer. And he's got some room on the side. The kicker is going to save him from going coast to coast. Richardson knocked him out of bounds, a 39-yard kickoff return by Stringer. Let's take a look at the Chili's starting lineup. The Biggins up front, Brandon Whitaker, Long Heaven, and Trey Thomas, who might be better than the guy they had playing there last year, they tell us. E.G. Green and Peter Warrick, the wideouts. Pearsall is the tight end. Thad Busby at the controls, D. Feaster, and Abdullah in the backfield. And Florida State has been unable so far to muster any kind of ground attack this year. They don't worry about it much when they set up in the shotgun, as Busby does here, with a 3 wideout set on first down. There's the numbers last year against Clemson for Thad Busby. He's off to a great start again this season. Has time. On the run, pump fakes, and he'll keep it. Got about 7. In fact, almost 9 before he's run out of bounds. And Busby working against a Clemson defense that, as Gary said, is no slouch in its own right. Planton White and Bromell up front. White, 94 tackles last year from that tackle spot. Dingle, Abdullah, Wilson, Anthony Simmons, a 2-time All-ACC performer, and some people say an All-American. The corners will be tested today. Trust me, Allen and Ward, Edwards and Fox, a lot of experience at the safety spots. 2nd down and 1, Florida State. And it's Busby under center with Feaster, the tailback, who gets the call. Feaster heading to the corner and run down by Simmons, the man I just talked about.
Brad, Clemson would love for Florida State to line up and run the ball at them. They're only giving up 69 yards a game, but they probably won't see that because the game breakers of this Florida team is the wide receivers, and the inexperience in Clemson is their corners. Opposite that, though, all the strength is the front seven against a young, improving, but very talented offensive line for Florida State.
Simmons made that last play. Simmons and crew forcing a third down and a long two. And already 81,000 plus on their feet for the Tiger defense. Busby under pressure, throws incomplete, and he got hit as he threw. And it's 3 and out for Florida State, something that does not happen very often.
Tried to run a little rub play to the outside, pick one guy to the inside and rub out. Watch the outside guy try to rub inside. Ball was thrown by Busby a little bit before E.G. Green could turn around on the play. That's the pressure defense that Clemson said they're willing to play in this game. Florida State will look at that, I believe, and start to throw the ball deep before this first quarter goes on too much longer.
Cottrell a punt, and Tony Horne back deep for Clemson. Nice kick. Horne's got a back pedal, and he watches it go all the way to the end zone. So Clemson will bring it out on the touchback to the 20-yard line, and that's where they'll start offensively. And the Chili's starting offense for Clemson. Up front, Bundren's an all-ACC performer. Halsey, 335. Gamble, Roundtree, and Postel round out the front five. Horne, you just saw back in punt formation. He and Wofford the wideouts with Paul the tight end. Brandon Streeter comes out to take the first snap. Priester and Witherspoon in the backfield. Raymond Priester, the all-time leading rusher in Clemson football history. And he's still got this entire season to go. First down, Tigers from their own 20. And it is Priester. Got about 3. Against a Florida State defense, as Gary mentioned, they lose guys to the NFL and they just plug new ones in there. As Wadsworth moved from tackle to end and might be the best there is in the country at that spot. Smith, Johnson, and Bryant on the front 4. And in the 4-3, rangy linebackers. Cowart. Daryl Bush didn't play last week. He's back and healthy. And Lamont Green. And in the secondary, Samari Roll. And Tay Cody on the corners. Jackson and Smith are the safety. And there's Wadsworth lining up in that track stance. Already 3 sacks on the season. And here's Clemson, Air Clemson, with a 3 wide receiver setup. Streeter across the middle, flags down as it's a first down out to the 35 to Mal Lawyer. Pickup of 12, but let's see who the penalty's on.
That's hard to believe. You say an Air Clemson down here in South Carolina, isn't it?
Yep.
But it worked.
Offside, Florida State decline.
Well, we talked about Nealon Greene not being able to play in this game, but the key to this game is no matter who the quarterback is, they have to follow the game plan, and that means continuing to throw the ball. And the other thing that I think is big in this game, if you look at the matchup, is Clemson suffered through with 4-year starters on the offensive line. They must be able to come through against one of the best defensive lines in college football.
Tommy West told us, if my group up front can't handle Florida State's defensive line, I'll be disappointed. We've been building them to this point, and for a game like this, first down Clemson on the option. Pitch. Priester got the corner. Got almost 7. And Clemson off to a good start. Troy Saunders came over from the secondary to make the stop.
Against Florida State, you must be able to give guys that defense something to think about. This time, a little bit of an option play to the outside. The key block by Tony Horne out here, the wide receiver. Come down the line of scrimmage, pitch the ball. It's like a long sweep, and you can see Tony Horne does just enough. Might have grabbed the jersey there, though, just a bit also. Got away with it, but just enough option for Clemson to keep this Florida State defense honest.
Tigers would love this, second and short. And Priester's got the first down across the 45 out near the 47. Wadsworth tracked him down, but Raymond Priester with a first down run.
Clemson's new offensive coordinator, Steve Ensminger, came from Texas A&M and Georgia, and he said, we know the type of athletes we're going against. We cannot play it close to the vest and win this game in the fourth quarter. We have to attack right from the start, but he said, sure would like a lot of those third and shorts. That would make it a little easier.
First down, Clemson at the 46. Their opening drive of the ball game. Offensively, after forcing Florida State to a 3-and-out. Throw incomplete as Horne broke downfield, and Streeter threw it on an out. Incomplete. Will be second and 10. Sam Cowart bringing some pressure. I'm Brandon Streeter, the sophomore out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. His dad's a high school coach up there.
Raymond Priester is going to help postal number 70 all day on number 85 Wodsworth right there. You see Priester come to the picture and chop Wodsworth. What Mickey Andrews will do, the defensive coordinator for Florida State, if he sees the backs helping, he'll start blitzing. He'll say, we're not going to allow you to double team our defensive ends.
And again, Clemson sets up in a spread with 4 wide receivers for Streeter. Brandon has time and delivers. And it's going to be a first down. Justin Watts with a second effort got 11. First down, Tigers.
What the shotgun does for Brandon Streeter is gives him just a half a second more to get comfortable throwing the ball, and the inside rush doesn't bother him. This time Streeter is going to go to the top receiver one-on-one against Tay Cody, pushes him off, the ball is thrown to the outside, and then the first down by extra effort just gets the ball past the first down. Justin Watts does a nice job of catching it, running, turning up, and getting a first down.
An impressive opening march for Clemson. Another first down, the 7th play of the drive. They set up at the Seminole 42-yard line. Again in the shotgun. Streeter throws over the middle. Tony Horne, first down to the 32-yard line. How about this?
To put this into a little bit of perspective, Clemson threw for 250 yards in the first 2 football games. Florida State and Sam Cowart says, I don't believe this. When I played 2 years ago against these guys, it was all running. What am I supposed to do with this?
It's always been about running at Clemson until this year. To say that Clemson has suddenly found a passing attack is to say Dolly Parton's got great ankles. You know, it's something you don't notice, really. First down at the 32-yard line.
Does she?
I think so. Their first 2-0 start since '88 as well.
Let's look.
Streeter on the option, keeps it. Cuts inside the 25, he might go! Touchdown! So much for first game jitters for the quarterback.
All-out blitz by Florida State. The linebackers were hugging the line of scrimmage. You run the option of one guy. This time it was Cowart, number 1. Gets out of his lane. That opens it up for the quarterback. And he may not be Nealon Greene, but he's faster than Danielson, and that's all you need. Comes down the line of scrimmage, cuts it back, and everyone in the secondary is playing man-to-man. Before they turn around, they know he's into the end zone.
Going to wait on the extra point. We've got a timeout. We'll be back. His home improvement coach. National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. And by Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth. There was some meat in that drive for Clemson to open things up. 80 yards, 8 plays, 319. And that man capped it off from 32 yards on the option at 7-0 Clemson.
And he did it all, Brad. 3 for 4 throwing the ball, 34 yards against 3 different receivers he hit on the drive, and then he rushed 32 yards. So nice way to get out of the blocks, huh?
Sure was. There's a drive, and Richardson's got it teed up.
And this is an offense that didn't even score a touchdown last week and win.
It's amazing. Lavernius Coles is going to bring it out from 5 yards deep as well. Hit at the 10, broke a tackle, flags down, he hurdles a man, and I think Florida State's going to start in a hole with probably an illegal block upcoming.
Well, special teams, every Clemson coach that we talked to told us that special teams we have to at least tie today. Florida State just beats you in the special teams, as well as talented they are in offensive defense, but we got to at least tie, and so far they are.
Holding against the Noles. And that will indeed back it up inside the 15. They'll put it down at the 12-yard line.
10-yard spot foul, first half.
Brandon Streeter's first collegiate touchdown, a moment he will remember, and to do it in front of the delirious fans in Death Valley, got to be special, but he's got a lot of football left this afternoon. 10:08 remaining first quarter. Florida State will come up under center. Feaster, the tailback, in the Seminole eye, but it's Busby to throw. Pump fake, wants to go deep on the sideline. Great adjustment made. The catch at the 35. It's Warrick, and he's still on his feet. Gets pounded at the 43-yard line, but he got 31 yards on the pass play.
Well, I told you as soon as they saw that bump and run in tight coverage, they were going to throw the ball deep. This was a stop fade. Busby threw this ball short on purpose. You see, ball going to the outside this time. Warrick takes it. He knew that ball was going to be thrown late. Ward did not. And then you can see what Warrick does, and he is tough with the ball. Abdullah makes the tackle.
Even though everybody talks about E.G. Greene, they say that guy might be the most dangerous Seminole on the field. He got a first down out near the 44-yard line. Feaster in motion. Busby wants to go out to him in the flat and does, and he puts a nice move on. But pretty well played by Antoine Edwards, one of the veteran safeties, who makes the tackle out at the 46-yard line.
Well, Anthony Simmons is the guy that Florida State must know where he is on every play. He's going to line up on the outside and blitz. He's going to match up in man-to-man coverage on Feaster, whoever the remaining back is. He's a very active football player, 4'5", 40, All-American, and ready to play. I can tell. A little bit of a bruised hip a week ago, but he looks like he's running much better so far in this football game.
Florida State wanted him badly, recruited him heavily, and he came to Death Valley instead, and Tommy West said, I couldn't be more happy about that. Second down at 8. Busby deep ball. And it's complete down to the 20. Nope, he dropped it. Incomplete. Coles couldn't handle it.
And he couldn't throw it any better. You see the bump and run coverage. This time Allen is in coverage. And when we talked to Reggie Herring, the defensive coordinator from Clemson, he said it's going to be a slow death if we back off and let Busby throw short all day. We're going to challenge him, and we're going to hope from some human error. That's what he's talking about. They're going to get open every once in a while. That time a little human error.
Busby run down by Simmons again, and a penalty marker on top of it. I think it's going to be holding against the Seminoles again.
And I'm sure it'll be declined.
Because Simmons tracked him down, and they'll decline the penalty and force another Florida State punt coming up.
Clemson's defense can run with Florida State.
Holding. Offense. Decline.
You see the series and 5 straight that Florida State has won, 4 of them here in Death Valley. But Bobby Bowden, when he talked to us yesterday, knew he was in for a battle because of what Gary just said. The athleticism, especially on the Clemson defensive side of the football. Cottrell to punt again, and that's Tony Horne. He's the most dangerous Clemson player. 4th and 6. This one going to be fair caught, and now Horne's going to clear out of the way himself. He made a little bit of a mistake there by not catching it. Cost his team about 5 yards. And the Clemson offense will be inside its own 10-yard line when we come back. But they have a touchdown lead.
Is that a new big king? No, it's a bag, Coach.
No, in the bag, son.
Yes, sir, it is.
Well, what's a smart kid like you doing sitting on the bench? Get in there and play quarterback.
Really? Like taking candy from a baby.
The new Big King from Burger King, flame broiled with 75% more beef. It's like a Big Mac, except it's bigger and tastes better. And right now, you can get one for just 99 cents.
Coach said I could play halfback.
Liberty Mutual won't just insure your car.
Put your turn signal on, we'll make that left turn.
We'll ensure you're safer in it with our safe driving video for folks teaching their teenagers to drive.
Dad, relax. You're making me nervous.
That's the freedom of liberty. Liberty Mutual.
The aluminum in your car radiator is as thin as this sheet, and it's the only thing between you and a breakdown. But Prestone Antifreeze bonds with aluminum, forming a zone of protection against corrosion and temperature extremes. Protect your car in the Prestone zone.
Can we use a rigid ladder-type frame to reach new heights in performance? Can the cab-forward concept create more room, even in the trunk? When it comes to what you'll expect down the road, do we have things pretty well covered? These are the questions. This is the answer. Dodge Stratus. Starting under 14.4, 18.4 impressively equipped.
This week, Smith Barney takes us back 20 years. Woody Hayes' Ohio State squad with a 28-26 lead over the Oklahoma Sooners, and Barry Switzer on the sidelines, and Ubi von Schamann took center stage. Got it. I don't think Dean Blevins was holding, was he?
I don't know.
I don't either. 29-28, Oklahoma. A winner over Ohio State 20 years ago. Seems like yesterday. Here today, it's 7-0. Clemson leading Florida State, number 15 team in the country on their home turf, against the 5th-ranked Seminoles, and Brandon Streeter in place of the injured Nealon Greene with a tremendous opening drive and a 32-yard touchdown run of his own has helped spot his team up by 7, and they start from their own 7. All the tight end in motion to toss to Priester. Florida State defense can run too. Smith came in from the secondary and made the stop. Priester got a couple maybe.
Raymond Priester may not be your prototype scat back, all-time leading rusher at Clemson. I bet he is a type of guy that goes 230 pounds, 4'7", maybe 4'8", 40, but he gets you the tough yards. And with Florida State not allowing you to run the ball wide, I think it runs right into what Priester likes to do. I expect him to have a big day. If he doesn't, they will be in trouble.
Well, Florida State doesn't give up much. A yard per carry through 2 games. The USC and Maryland. Streeter in trouble from his own goal line, but he got it out incomplete. A great final surge by Samari Roller. That would have been a big gainer.
Big gainer. Would have been a touchdown. Brian Wolford was behind on that play, and that ball was thrown maybe a slight half-second late. Samari Roll closed on the ball. Talked to Mark Richt, the offensive coordinator, about Samari Roll, who we've seen a couple of times in our career watching Florida State. He said he is really coming on, Gary. He dominates practices, and he expects him to have a great senior season.
Of course, a long line of great cornerbacks and defensive backs, for that matter, that have played for Florida State over the years.
Here's Bush lined up right there. That's called the bear defense for this Florida State team.
Deep middle, Horne with a catch. Whoa, what a hit, but Tony Horne held on. Dexter Jackson let him have it, and Streeter laid that one right on the money.
When you have all the linebackers up like we showed in that bear defense, you're going to throw the ball. There's nobody back here right here. So you just throw the ball down the seam. You know if you're the quarterback, you got to get it there quick. You see Horne get the ball, and the ball is thrown perfectly right over the corner's hands and right in front of Jackson that time, and Horne hangs on to it. That's the type of big play that Clemson's skill people have to make.
While Tony Horne catches his breath, let's check in with John Saunders in New York. John?
Brad, Nebraska and Washington, the big one on ABC today. This brought to you by Burger King in this update. Scott Frost, 34 yards on the keeper, outracing all of the Huskies to the end zone. They take a 7-0 lead. We'll keep you up to date. Also in the SEC, Arkansas has knocked off Alabama 17-16, that final. Brad, back to you.
Well, we saw BYU score against Washington first also. Got a little nasty after that.
That's right. Tony Horne strapping the helmet back on. He took a big shot, but he held on for a first down at the 29-yard line. Straight ahead, Terry Witherspoon, the fullback, and Roland Seymour made the stop.
Clemson could not have hoped for a better start than what they're having.
Florida State had that one 31-yard pass. It's their only first down.
That's exactly right. And Clemson has been able to move the chains, obviously, use the passing game. When you talk to the Clemson coaches, they said, we would like to throw the ball between 25 and 35 times. I hope nobody dropped dead out here watching this game. Clemson watching, because they're going to be in shock to know that. And they want to do it evenly from quarter to quarter.
3 wide out group again for Streeter. On 2nd down and 7. Brandon throws incomplete, intended for Tony Horne, who had checked back in after being shaken up earlier in this drive. That'll bring up 3rd down and long. Clemson came in 39% on their 3rd down conversions, and Florida State, a team that doesn't allow many 3rd down conversions to their opponent. 6:32.
Yeah, that would be a few right there, 21%. What do I expect here? Something conservative from Clemson. Maybe a quarterback draw, maybe a shuffle pass, something like that. They don't want an interception. They'd rather punt the ball if they don't get it.
They show the 4 wide out spread formation again. Streeter, short pass to Horne. Boy, Tony's going to say, hey, Brandon, you know what? These guys are killing me.
Right.
Got to get it to me quicker or don't throw it to me.
Well, the first one he had no choice. That was a great throw. But this one he threw it right into the teeth of the zone that time. Tate Cody was on the outside. He should have recognized that. But, hey, nothing bad happened that time. They drove it out from their own 6-yard line. They got it in good field position. Now the special team game starts again. And here's the fear. They want to punt it, and they want to average a net 35 yards.
Laird to punt. D. Feaster is back deep. Nice kick. Feaster trying to track it down. It bounces at the 2-yard line. He had to pick it up. Now can they track Feaster down? Back across the 25 and all the way out to the 28-yard line. Boy, did a great job. A 26-yard return of a tremendous
unbelievable
kick. 64-yard punt. Monday Night Football coming up. It'll be in the AFC Central Division. The Steelers in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Don't forget, Monday night on ABC, Time Cop goes back in time to track the world's first serial killer, Jack the Ripper. It's the series premiere of Time Cop Monday. Check your local listings for the times in your area.
I could hear every coach, including Bobby Bowden, say, D, leave it alone, leave it alone. He picks it up.
Go, go, go.
And makes what, almost 3 first downs on that play out to the 28-yard line.
From the 29-yard line. Mayonnaise Gooch in at the tailback spot. Fumble. Clemson's got it. Howard Bartley. I don't think Busby ever had the handle on the snap.
Can you imagine if that had happened on the 2-yard line? This is inexcusable. Quarterback center exchange. Never really had it. It was going to be a bootleg pass. As you saw the guard pull out, Donald Heaven that time. And the ball's on the ground. The center exchange between Busby and Kevin Long never was clean. And Clemson, remember, had the ball just one series ago on their own 6 or, 7-yard line?
Yep.
And now they have it on the 26-yard line. That's a huge play.
Busby talking it over with Bobby Bowden. The Seminoles a little bit in shock right now, as Clemson trying to beat ranked teams back-to-back for the first time in a long time. Last week it was 25th ranked North Carolina State. Today it's number 5 Florida State, and they've got a 7-0 lead. Streeter to the air. Would have been an acrobatic catch by Tony Horne, broken up by Troy Saunders.
Broken up by Troy Saunders because it was perfect coverage. He was in great position on the outside on Horne that time. Streeter had nowhere to throw the ball, and I thought Horne almost had interference on the play from behind.
So 2nd and 10 at the 26. Brandon Streeter, who has our only touchdown today, a 32-yard keeper on the option. He's thrown the ball pretty well, and it's 2nd and long for him here from the shotgun. 4 wide out set.
Needs to get the ball to Priester.
Priester with him in the backfield. Florida State showing blitz. They'll come with it. Trying to go to Priester, and it's intercepted. And it's Bush going the other way. Darrell Bush to midfield. They tried to do what Gary said, but the All-ACC linebacker had a different thought.
If Bush doesn't make that play, it's a touchdown. They knew the blitz was coming. Priester kind of faked like he was going to block. Priester's going to come right up there. Bush stops, left hand, stick it out. Look at that. There's no one behind him, and he has a screen of blockers in front of him. Bush saves the play, and Streeter saves the touchdown going the other way. 2 touchdown-saving plays on one play. Wow.
And now the Knoll fans who are here in Death Valley have something to chop about. The team out at the 49-yard line. Bush did not play last week in the win over Maryland. Back today, healthy, and an interception return out to the 49. Busby fakes a pitch, and he's going to keep it. No, he throws on the run, and he got it there to the 26-yard line. Peter Warrick. Warrick with a diving catch. Fans thought he trapped it. It's a pickup of 25.
This is the same play they were going to run when they fumbled the ball. Heaven's going to pull out. It's a bootleg pass with Busby coming out to the left side of the screen this time. Now watch what Warrick does on this play. He pulls up. Here comes the Busby in, and then here come Warrick right into this area. Cuts back on his route. And let's see if it bounced. Boy, you can't tell from our angle. The crowd must have a better angle than us.
First down is what it is at the 26-yard line of Clemson. And the Tigers blitz. Busby running for his life, and he does well to get it out to the 22-yard line. Took the official out of bounds as well.
Well, our guys in the truck say we got one more angle of this catch. The previous play. Let's see if it bounces. I think he caught it.
That's one of those where the effort's so great, I'd give it to him anyway.
I agree with you. I think he caught it. He got his right arm underneath it.
2nd and 7 in a noisy Death Valley, Dean Blevins.
Yeah.
We'll check with Dean in a minute.
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us. It's so noisy. 2nd down. Busby pumps once. Wide open is wide out inside the 20. Peter Warrick, and maybe that's the reason Busby's been under center a little bit more. Let's check in with Dean now. It's a little noisy down there, Dino.
Huh? What do you say, Brad? Hey, you know, Bobby Bowden told us yesterday with his team calling all the plays at the line of scrimmage, or most of them, that the noise is a problem. You'll watch Thad Busby. He comes up, he tells his offensive lineman what protection. Then he hollers at the backs if they can hear him. Then he signals to his wide receivers. There's already been miscommunication 2 times. We'll follow that throughout the game. This crowd is a factor.
Plus our miscommunication down to him makes 3.
We got hand signals.
That's right.
3rd and short. Busby to throw for it. And one-hopped it. Incomplete. So now decision time. Does Bobby Bowden go on 4th and a yard or send out the kicking unit? They're going to go for the field goal.
Busby has made a number of throws right into the teeth of the rush, and this time was another one. He's made some good ones, but this was too tough. Right in his face, and he couldn't step into it. Good defense.
Bill Gramatica in to try the field goal. He's their field goal specialist with about 40 yards in, and then Sebastian Janikowski is the long ball kicker. This one's a 34-yard attempt for Gramatica. And he's got it. So the Clemson defense holds on 3rd and 1, forces a field goal. Gramatica nails it, and that's the first points of the ball game for Florida State. 7-3, Clemson out in front here in Death Valley. ABC's college football is online live with all of the action from today's games. You can get scores, stats, and highlights all on America Online. The keywords, ABC Sports. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Dean Blevins, and our ABC crew in Clemson, South Carolina. Bobby Bowden's team just took it after the Darrell Bush interception, down for a field goal. So the drive covers 34 yards and 5 plays.
I think Bobby Bowden figured that this would be a tough start in this game. I don't think he figured Clemson would move the ball so successfully against his defense, but he knew that this was a very hostile crowd, ready to play him. A lot of players that played on this team that have suffered through 4 consecutive losses, so he knew they'd be ready. I just don't think he figured that the backup quarterback would be able to rip him like that.
Well, with all due respect to Ronnie Vanderlyn in Maryland, Bobby was telling us that Tommy West's troop more like the USC team they met in week 1 as far as being fast and getting around the football. And, of course, they won that opener but had to struggle to do so before erupting for 50 points last week. Today they trail 7-3.
When we asked Tommy how his players matched up athletically against Florida State, which is kind of a loaded question. You don't want to dog your own players. He said, we've come light years. That's right. That's about all he could say. So he felt good about the game.
Janikowski, the guy we just talked about, set to kick off. And 9 times out of 10, or in the case of last week, 8 times out of 9, he won't let anybody return this. This kick is returnable. Horne at the 2. Tony Horne trying to break tackles, and does across the 20. Tony Horne now picks up some blockers, and he's all the way to the 35-yard line. That's about as nifty a 22-yard return as you're going to see.
Well, when you consider, like you said, 8 out of 9 times last week, Brad, the defense started with the ball on the 20-yard line for the opposing offense. This time, Tony Horne, who's not a blazer. You know, he comes out, and this is not a beautifully blocked run back either. He makes 1, 2, 3, 4 4 guys make a miss and gets the ball out to the 35-yard line, that's a plus 15 yards for this offense and where they wanted to start the ball, or at least Florida State did on the 20, and where they are now to the 35.
I may have sent a 22-yard return, a 32-yard return out to the 35-yard line. 4 wideouts here, and Streeter under center, and too much time, I think, the Tigers took. And with the penalty, we got time to go to John Saunders. John? (7-3) here. Clemson leads Florida State with 3:38 left in the first quarter. And on the penalty, 1st and 15 now for the Tigers. Brandon Streeter's numbers, 50% on the day. He's thrown an interception, but he's run the team well. And about 3 for Raymond Priester. Sam Cowart with the hat on. And Sam's adjusting his hat right now to number 1, the linebacker.
Great story about Sam Cowart, leading tackler 2 years ago in this offense. Had a bad knee surgery, sat out a whole year, came back. Some doctors said he wouldn't be able to play, and he's come back and reclaimed that position.
You know, watching the film of last week's game against Maryland, it seemed like he made every tackle in the first half.
Well, he might have. They didn't have it very many times. Changed his number from 56 to 1 because he said that's his goal, to be number 1.
Wants the team to be number 1, and he'd like to be the number 1 linebacker in the country. With 2nd down and long coming up, let's check in on some other shows on ABC.
The best night in family comedy is back. ABC Premiere Tuesday begins with a special Tuesday Drew. Make that the first new Drew of the season.
You know, holding a horn like that, you kind of look like the Partridge Family bus.
Then it's a special home improvement and an explosive season premiere. Midlife crisis strikes the tool man, and you won't believe his major announcement.
What about tool time?
I'll just hand my tool belt down to Al. Have to add a few more notches.
Then Richard Lewis and Kevin Nealon star in the show critics are already calling a hit, Hiller and Diller. ABC Premiere Tuesday.
Back in Death Valley, welcome to Death Valley. I always love that sign.
Welcome to death, right?
That's right. Welcome back. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson. I used to have a coach who said, Nessler, defense is all the way around the field, but we've had the defense today.
Well, they got a little break in the fence right here for Florida State. See, you're going to need to repair that.
That's
if they can, they should be all right in the game. But, you know, I think the whole crowd is sitting here thinking, you know, wow. You know, we thought we might have to keep this game close, but Tommy West has his guys challenging this Florida State defense. They've moved up defensively, bump and run to the outside with the young defensive backs, and they say, hey, if you're going to beat us with our A game.
Right, and that's what Tommy said, and they have followed that course. He said, we're not changing anything if Brandon Streeter starts and Nealon Greene doesn't, and certainly they have thrown everything out there offensively. I've seen, this is more spread offense than I've seen from Clemson in the history of their football program, I think, since I've lived in the South. And here they are in the shotgun again with 4 wideouts on 2nd and 12. Streeter over the middle, a little bit low, had the quick slant, incomplete, intended for Brian Wofford.
Well, Florida State is starting to get a feel for what Clemson is trying to do on those short passing game. Again, Mickey Andrews countered by dropping back into a zone and saying, my front 4 can put enough pressure on Brandon Streeter. We don't believe you're going to throw the ball downfield. We're going to make you throw it underneath, and we're going to hit you. We're going to hit the wide receivers after they catch it. They seem to be falling into a nice pattern defensively.
3rd down at 12. Just under 3 minutes left first quarter. High snap, Streeter can't handle it. And the ball's still loose. Kicked around, Cowart in the end zone. Touchdown, Florida State. That's how quickly it can turn. Make one mistake against this group, it'll cost you 6.
Well, you make that mistake against any group, and it's going to cost you 6. They're the #1 defense, but when you snap the ball over the quarterback's head and then nightmare against nightmare, nobody can find the ball. Your quarterback and your best running back who's used to handling it can't come up with it. And all of a sudden, instead of being able to punt the ball, the other team gets 6 points on the board.
That makes for a happy defensive coordinator. And a happy linebacker, Sam Cowart, who we just talked about with the touchdown on the extra point. by Bill Gramatica, up and good. So just that quickly it can turn. Clemson was up 7-0. Florida State went down, got a field goal, and then on the fumble recovery in the end zone by Sam Cowart, it's 10-7. Florida State in front. They rank #1 in just about anything in the ACC, and then you throw in the total defense, #1 in the country. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason to even illustrate anything there. You just put a bunch of ones, you know. I mean, probably the best thing you could add to that is the #1 recruiting class, too. That's right. The scary thing.
Well, Streeter, who had a great opening drive, and that was not his fault, as Gary said. That snap was a mile high. Tried to cover it, and the ball just continued to squirt along the turf. Here's how it looked from behind Streeter.
Ball, Jason Gamble put that ball high, a little too hard, obviously, and there's the thing. If Streeter just comes up with it, or Priester just comes up with it, at least the Clemson defense has a chance after the punt to try to slow down that Florida State offense. But now you just give them 7 points, and the human error factor so far, the big one so far, has gone for Florida State, and that's not according to game plan.
So Florida State set to kick. Janikowski has got it teed up. Javis Austin and Antoine Edwards back deep. Janikowski didn't get a hold of the first one. This time he sends it to the 2 again, to Edwards. Antoine Edwards. He got out a nice return across the 25 out to the 26-yard line. Let's check in on an injury report. Dean's got something on the sideline. Dino?
Well, it's a significant injury for Clemson defensively. Adrian Dingle, the outstanding rush in, has a hamstring injury. He will not play the rest of the first half. They'll check him at halftime to see if he can return. By the way, some of these kickoffs, Brad and Gary, that you would think would be going into the stands, they're kicking into a little bit of a wind. About 5 miles an hour.
Just enough to hang it up there for a couple of returns, yeah. Out to the 27 is where Clemson will set up their offense. I got to think maybe Clemson will try to reestablish a little bit of a ground attack here. They've got Javis Austin, true freshman, in there right now at tailback, not Priester. Option to Austin.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what a hit. Or 3 hits. 4 hits, 5 hits. He took a bunch.
I'll give you even worse news than that. Florida State has their backup linebackers in there.
Yeah, that was Theon Rackley that made the initial contact.
Javis Austin this time says, I'm in high school a year ago. Now I come out, I get a nice pitch, and you're going to see 4 different Florida State guys surrounding this ball carrier. And they are all there, broken down, ready to hit Javis Austin. There was nothing there.
I give Austin credit. He kept fighting.
Oh, yeah, he hung in there, didn't he?
2nd down and 9. Under 2 minutes, first quarter. Florida State now leading 10-7. And straight ahead with a ground game, and they only got about another yard as Raymond Priester back in there trying to follow Corey Halsey, his big left guard, 335-pounder, gets up a little bit gimpy. He is a wall, Halsey.
He really is. But that time, Jerry Johnson, big defensive tackle for Florida State, just blew that play up. He just got underneath it. Clemson trying to pull someone. Johnson coming, he blew it up so much he blew himself up. Goes jogging off the field, but he just blew it up at the point of attack, and Priester had nowhere to go.
Raymond Priester's always done well. 2 years ago against Florida State, he had a big game. Last year, not quite as productive. 3rd and long. Streeter in the pocket, and down he goes. First sack of the day. And it's Tony Bryant. And now Clemson going the wrong way, and they're going to have to punt it away.
Oftentimes I see defensive coordinators with inexperienced quarterbacks play a lot of man-to-man coverage. This time Florida State is just going to sit in zones back here. They're going to say, Brian, can you throw the ball between us, Brandon? And this time he can, as the rush is only going to give you one little look. And you see all those linebackers reading Brandon's eyes. There's nowhere to zip it.
Kevin Laird to punt. His first one went 64 yards. Not quite as deep this time, and returnable for Peter Warrick. And he's dangerous, but he dropped the ball, and down he goes. He was thinking about what direction he was going to head, and he forgot to take the ball with him. But still, it's good field position for Florida State. at its own 37-yard line. Bobby says, let me talk to the gang upstairs.
You know what? Now Peter Warrick gets in huddle and says, guys, that was just part of the plan. Throw it to me and I get a longer touchdown pass now.
So now Florida State playing with a lead offensively. First time today. 10-7 they lead with 28 seconds left first quarter. Bobby Bowden second to Joe Paterno in victories among active coaches. And again today trying to get number 200 as the head man of the Seminoles. First and 10. Busby, quick drop and a quick pass outside. Got it to the 45, maybe the 46-yard line to E.G. Greene.
That was a corner blitz that time, read by both the quarterback and the receiver at the same time. There you see it come in this way. The receiver sees him go by. E.G., a senior player, turns around, and before the safety this time can get across, Chad Speck. The ball is there. That is the type of things you have to do if you're going to throw the ball a lot in college football. From that short hash, Brad, the wider hashes than in pros, he has a short run at the quarterback.
You saw for E.G. Greene 30 straight games with at least one catch. He got it at the end of the first quarter. 10-7, Florida State leads Clemson.
From one sideline to the other shows the severity of the slope here, the crown. You know, if this were a flat field, you'll be able to see my feet. What this does, it allows a running team to have an advantage. They run downhill, whereas a passing team, particularly opposing teams coming in here, aren't used to it. You throw from one level to the other. Coach West says it's a great advantage because they have drainage, but also no other team has it, and he likes that. Bobby Bowden said, yeah, I've had trouble here before. Both Danny Cannell and Charlie Ward struggled with it.
And with that, they brought the skill people out yesterday for a walkthrough just to get Thad Busby used to throwing on that crown field, Gary, and you've been on both flat and crown surfaces.
Minnesota in the Big Ten had the biggest crown field, and I just tore that one apart. I think I was one for 3, but I handed off well that day.
And Blevins, when he played at Oklahoma, you couldn't see a guy from one sideline to the other with that option thing running downhill. A first down here as Florida State's moved it downfield to the Clemson 46-yard line. Second man through, and it's D. Feaster, who did not quite get back to the line of scrimmage. Raymond White knocked him off his pins. Well, Anthony Simmons helped out.
This Clemson defense is for real. I mean, 9 starters returned to this defense that averaged double-digit tackles last year. I mean, that's an incredible statistic for a team. They get to the ball, they see the ball, they're comfortable with their speed going sideline to sideline, and they're ready for Florida State to run the ball. It's the defensive backs that really is the Achilles heel.
Florida State has been unable to run so far now in this, their 3rd game of the season. Play action. Busby in trouble, pressured and dragged down. It won't be a sack, but they stop him after about a yard gain. Howard Bartley made first contact, and then it was Tony Planton who planted him at the 44.
Well, Howard Bartley's playing for Adrian Dingle right now on the team. Dingle out with that hamstring. Planton coming in. He had a big sack last week, too, that caused a fumble and a TD.
That's right. He had the one that forced the hit that Raheem Abdullah took 74 yards for a touchdown against North Carolina State. Here's a big 3rd down and 9 at the Tiger 45.
You can see they're matched up for the wide receivers. They're not laying off. They're going to challenge.
And Busby's going to call a timeout, as he didn't like the lineup or the noise or a combination of both. And Thad Busby calls timeout.
Yeah, give that one to the crowd.
13:06 remaining first half. Florida State leading Clemson by a field goal.
Our race commemorates Sir Whitmore's ill-fated expedition to the North Pole. He was told he would have better grip with wide snowshoes, but he insisted on thin. He learned a hard lesson. Wider is better.
Presented with a new Wide Track Grand Prix Sports Sedan. Its wheels are set wide for better grip to make tracks in any weather.
The spirit still calls.
The new Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better.
Hi, at Gateway, getting the computer you want is simple. Let's say this is your basic computer. You want lots of memory? Sure. Great speakers. Maybe more memory. No problem. A big monitor? Maybe not that big. The new Pentium 2 processor. See, we build your computer exactly how you want it. So, it ends up as individual as you are.
Gateway computers feature the Intel Pentium 2 processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY. We'll build one for you.
Trust. We are not born with an instinct to trust. Trust must be earned. Trust must be proven. We earn it with integrity. We prove it with sound advice. Trust is the ultimate measure of our success. And at Dean Witter, we measure success one investor at a time.
You love this woman?
Laura Flynn Boyle, Dylan McDermott. The Practice season premiere, ABC tonight.
13:06 left first half. Florida State called a timeout on a 3rd and 9, and they're 0 for on their 3rd down conversions today. This is an important one at the Clemson 45-yard line. And the Seminoles lead 10-7. If you're just joining us, Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Dean Blevins from Death Valley. Battle of 2 unbeatens in the ACC. Florida State number 5, Clemson ranked number 15.
Nice matchup here. E.G. Green against Antoine Edwards, a strong safety.
Let's see if they bring some pressure on Busby. They try to. He rifles it near side, and it's caught by Warrick. He's got a first down. Coaches say he stepped out of bounds back at the 36.
I think he did, but I think he still has the first down.
And now one official. He came back and spotted it at 36. We're going to look.
Matched up against David Evans this time. You see David try to pull off. He's playing zone defense to the outside. Great read.
I think he was out of bounds with a catch. I don't think they gave him the catch.
I don't know. It was awful close right there.
They're going to punt.
Oh, my. I think that's a bad call.
Well, maybe that's one that Clemson coaches helped a little bit on the officiating.
Yeah, you bet it. It happened right on that sideline, Brad. It's exactly what happened, but I thought his foot, he was in by an inch or so. Of course, I'm about 60 yards away. So
Antoine Edwards waiting on the punt. Way up in the air, but off the side of his foot. Bounces and takes a Clemson hop. Tigers will get it back offensively at about 22-yard line.
Let's see if we got a better look of this catch by Dunn. Well, this is the one we got. We're going to have to live with. Steps. Oh, it looked like the ball hit the ground. I think the ball hit the ground. That's what they're calling.
No catch.
That ball was trapped. There's no doubt about that. Good call by the official. I don't know how he called it. He might have called him out of bounds, but he got away with it.
No, he actually did go back, and they moved it back to the line of scrimmage,
yes,
so they made the right call. And we had a good look. We were watching the wrong thing.
Actually, Brad, I think he called his foot out of bounds when he caught it. That's why I said he made the wrong call, but it ended up being the right call.
First down at the 23. Clemson still trying to get something going on the ground. This time, Raymond Priester got a little bit, about 4.
And that's exactly when you talk to the offensive coaches and really all the coaches for Clemson, they say Raymond Priester gives this team. He turns 1- and 2-yard gains into 4-yard gains. And they need him right now because when you don't have a first down since early in that first quarter, you know that Mickey Andrews has adjusted. And I think the adjustment that Clemson has to do to come back is take the pressure off Streeter and run their big man right here, Priester.
Second down and 6. Priester, the tailback in the eye, and a whistle at the snap. Penalty markers down.
Well, they're lucky they got a whistle there because that ball came free again.
With 12:02 left while we look for the penalty from Jim Knight.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. 5 yards.
Let's check in with Dean Blevins. Dino.
Guys down here on the sideline, Rick Stockstill, a former Florida State starting quarterback, is signaling the plays in. He's a wide receivers coach, and a few minutes ago when the tide was going the other direction to Florida State side, he talked to his receivers saying, you know, keep your poise, guys, your composure. It's a long game. It's only 1 quarter. He says if it weren't for the freak play, we'd be ahead right now. So, hey, by the way, this guy led his team past Nebraska back in '80, and that's the one game that really people look to that got Bobby Bowden over the hump.
That's right. He was a heck of a quarterback. Bobby was talking about him with us yesterday. Spread here on 2nd down 11. There's a little shovel pass Gary was talking about earlier. Priester in the open field. Out to the 39. First down Clemson. Wodsworth tracked him down from behind.
Wodsworth weighs 280 pounds. And if he doesn't catch Priester this time, it's going to go a long way. 11 man on the line of scrimmage for Florida State on this play. Here comes Priester. Pitches it just before he gets hit on the line of scrimmage. Now watch Wodsworth. Look at him run down the back. Wow.
That's some speed.
Big time talent. Problem is, Streeter got hurt on a play, and I think you're going to see Nealon Greene. Streeter got banged big time on the right shoulder as he let that ball go. Roland Seymour just laid one on him as he let it go. And he is dazed, and his right shoulder is dazed. Is that possible?
I think so.
Can you daze a right shoulder?
Not quite sure what daze it is right now, I don't think. And with the injury, we've got a timeout. We'll check on Brandon Streeter when we come back.
Inside, please. Inside the line.
There comes a time when you realize you've come about as far as you can on your own. And if you want your investments to go further, you're going to need someone with the expertise and the resources to help you go the distance. It's not an admission of failure. It's an admission of success. It's an acknowledgement of what you've got at stake here. That moment of truth when you say to yourself, okay, no more fun and games.
Smith Barney, they make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
Had a great practice today. I know you guys are hungry, but this new big king gave me an idea for a new play. So listen up. Quarterback takes off tackle, flips the ball, the guard pulls, we hand off to the wingback. Wingback is up to go for a touchdown. Any questions?
Coach, can I eat my blocker now?
The new Big King from Burger King, flame broiled with 75% more beef. It's like a Big Mac, except it's bigger and tastes better. And right now, you can get one for just 99 cents.
Got any more new plays, Coach?
So then Doris is driving it, and she says, but Elliot, I can't feel the road. And I said, but what do you expect? It's a luxury car. Anyway, we then drive it down the road. Have you ever driven down?
Bored with traditional luxury? It could be time for the supercharged Bonneville, one of the world's most powerful sports sedans.
Do you drive a luxury car, Frank?
You bet your ascot I do. Luxury with attitude. The Bonneville by Pontiac.
ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Pontiac Sunfire. Finally, a real set of wheels you can really afford. Chili's Grill and Bar, home of the Big Mouth Burgers. They earn it. Toss sweep to Priester on first down, and Raymond Priester's got it out for what looks like another first down as he takes Florida State tacklers, including Sam Cowart, with him out to the 48-yard line.
You remember the shovel pass to Priester. Watch after he pitches it. Everybody took their eyes off of it, but whoa. Seymour didn't take his eyes off him. You see the right shoulder he seems to be favoring.
And he's heading to the locker room. Dean Blevins?
Guys, I was right behind him running in. I can tell you, you know how athletes are when they know that there's an injury that might keep them out of a game. They let out a loud cry, and I was next to Streeter when he did that. We'll see what the results say from the x-rays they take inside, though.
Tell you what, he got one loud cheer from the fans here when he headed out. He spotted them their first touchdown, a 32-yarder, and we'll keep an eye on Streeter's availability, if at all.
False start on the off.
Well, here's the regular starter, Nealon Greene. And back-to-back 250-yard games. It's never happened in Clemson history. That tells you how much they've run the ball over the years.
Well, Nealon Greene is the number 2 guy today. That's Slade Nagel. He's going to be the number 3 guy. He just enrolled here at Clemson in January. Has never really even gone through one season, and he could be next. You know, this is where all the hard work that Nealon Greene did all week to get ready and try to be ready for his football team is paying off. He did as much as he could. He might be 75%, but he's coming in to save the team.
From the shotgun, and that's not the way you want to be rushed on your second play in. And he dropped the ball. Florida State's got it. Larry Smith, I think, covered it.
And you could see Greene could not move. He couldn't get out of his own shadow that time. He's used to scrambling. He scrambled 9 times last week against North Carolina State. Wodsworth made the initial hit. You could see him limping all the way, and then Wodsworth comes back, gets the second hit on the play, forces the fumble, and then the fumble by Larry Smith, the recovery. 2 hits and a sack by Wodsworth on one play. Wow. There's going to be a penalty on the play.
So forget it.
All that for naught. I got to save my breath.
You getting paid by the word?
What is this?
Starting to sound like Vital over
Where's
here.
our flag thing?
It made a late appearance.
Where's our flag? We need our flag guy.
An offside call against Florida State's giving it right back to Clemson. Second down a yard. Straight ahead with a fullback, and he's got the first at the 49. It's Terry Witherspoon.
Huh. Never mind. Remember that old bit?
That's right. Never mind. First down, Clemson near midfield.
One thing, though, that was exposed on that play, though, is if Nealon Greene is forced out of the pocket, he is not going to be a factor in this game.
That's right. We watched him hobbling around the last couple of days.
Oh, Thursday, he was 50%. He was worse than James Brown was on Thursday for Texas the week before, and he didn't play.
Toss to Priester. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe got a yard. Lamont Greene made the tackle for Florida State.
I think that was a misread that time by Priester. Lamont Greene took on the blocker, and I thought Priester could have cut inside and made more yardage. Lamont Greene was the prize of a recruiting pass of the past. He worked his way back into the lineup. Now as a junior year, he's finally on the team starting and the #2 tackler for this defense.
Second and 9. A little over 9.5 remaining second quarter. 10-7 Florida State on the toss to Priester. And Raymond got it into Florida State territory at the 47-yard line. Priester, the only active player in the NCAA that holds all his schools' single-season, career, and single-game rushing records.
They just line up the big defensive end out there, and he just comes full speed. The quarterback has to pitch the ball off. But you're right, Greene is the threat when he's healthy. But he's not healthy today. This is a very courageous performance, and he's out there for his team right now, man.
At 4 therapy treatments a day over the course of the week. That's a lot of them.
That's what you got to do.
Third down from the shotgun. Nealon wants to swing it out, and it tips. And caught by Priester, even though it was tipped, and he got back to the line of scrimmage. Looked like Roland Seymour may have got a hand on that on the pass rush.
Just amazed by the front four from Florida State. You know, you can watch them on television, but until you get in person and watch these guys work to get to the quarterback, and then after the ball is thrown, work to get to the guy who has it, they play with tremendous effort. Obviously, they have a lot of talent. They roll in a lot of guys. They keep people fresh, but they are effort football players.
Gavin Laird into punt. Florida State was kind of playing it for a possible fake punt, I think. He lays one up there. Fair catch taken near the 14-yard line by Peter Warrick. So field position, Clemson playing that, and a penalty marker on the play.
Yeah, see, there's our flag thing right there. See, that's how it works. You see that little yellow flag, and you just don't make a fool of yourself up there.
They let you go, and so did I.
Well, it was good stuff, though. It was really good stuff.
It was quality work you were doing there. Let's see. Offside, Florida State. Now, it's not quite enough, I don't think, to give them a first down.
Well, yeah, no, but it's so close that
now you start making a decision.
Well, you know what I'd do if I was Tommy West? I'd line up and try to draw them off sides with one of those fake fourth down plays and see if you can steal another 5. And then if you get a 5-yard penalty, you just punt it anyway. Tommy's still looking.
Offsides, defense, decline, first down.
So they're going to leave the kick alone. Let's check in with Dean on the availability of Clemson's quarterback.
Actually, Streeter is still in the locker room, guys, but I did find out that the x-rays proved he had a sprained shoulder. Don't know if he returns, and the third quarterback to go in would be Slade Nagel. Back in a moment.
If you ever take your Pontiac Sunfire driving through some famous expressionist painting, hey, it'll fit right in. Because it looks like a work of art, right? And it drives like a real screamer. Pontiac Sunfire, driving excitement for run.
To enrich young minds and gently guide. It is pondering ancient verities and finding new truths. It is making the world a better place by sharing what we know. That's what it is to be a professor at Florida State University.
Interception return.
Brad, Nealon Greene threw the interception, but what a tremendous effort on one leg to save the touchdown. Again, Florida State is going to set back in the zone. They say, all right, you can throw it, but we don't think you can throw it good enough downfield. Tries to get it to Horne. Chevon comes in, makes the play, but watch number 50. Takes on two blockers on one leg and makes the stop.
Wow.
What a courageous player.
Smith with the interception, his first of the year. And there's a turnover story. And now Florida State's got it at the Clemson 25-yard line. Well, it's going to take a big-time defensive stop here to keep Florida State from points. And Busby dropped the ball, covered it himself. Lost about 4, though, on the play.
We talked about Reggie Herring before. He was intense yesterday. He said we're ready to play, but we're going to need some help from Florida State. We can't stop these guys by ourselves. This time, it was an unforced error from Thad Busby. The snap is perfect. He takes his eye just slightly off it to try to get his eyes downfield, and instead of 1st and 10 or 2nd and 5, it's 2nd and 15, and that's what defensive coaches say you need to stop this offense.
As you call it, and Reggie called it yesterday, the human factor.
Yep.
2nd down, 14. Just over 3 minutes left in the half. Busby over the middle. E.G. Greene got back to the original line of scrimmage, but a nice job defensively by Clemson and Mon Wilson.
You know what's great about for Clemson's viewpoint about that penalty is it allows them to sit back in a zone and force Busby to try to zip it through their defense for once.
3rd down, 11. 4 wideouts for the Seminoles.
And they are dropping in a zone defense again, playing back.
If Busby can hear himself think he's a better man than I right now. Flares it out to Feaster. Feaster to the 19, but well short of the 1st down. Anthony Simmons stayed with number 33, and it's going to bring out the field goal unit.
Well, with Feaster, it's either feast or famine. He had a big 79-yard punt return for a feast last year for a touchdown against these guys, but so far today,
a little bit hungry yet.
It's a little bit of famine. Throwing the ball out here. Remember, Clemson is quick enough to react. Nice tackle from the secondary from Michael Allen. Come up and stop that play solid and force a field goal try.
Bill Gramatica hit one from 34. This is from 37. And he missed it. Oh, they love it in Death Valley. Gramatica wide from 37 yards, and it's still Florida State 10, Clemson 7. Let's check in with John Saunders in New York. John.
Welcome to New York, and it is early this season, but you have to talk national championship today.
Well, number 2 Penn State rolled earlier. 5 of the other top 6 teams in difficult contests today. We'll know a lot more when the day is done.
We will have all the day's scores and highlights, including those big games. Interception return for a touchdown. Peyton Manning then goes to Jermaine Copeland, gets them on the board, 22 yards. But Florida is marching again, and they have just scored another touchdown.
Well, turnovers have been the killer for Tennessee in this series the last 5 years. They have 2 today, but up until this last touchdown, Tennessee hanging in there pretty well.
Yeah, but as we mentioned, Jacquez Green has just hauled one in from Doug Johnson, the 2nd touchdown pass of the day. And right now, Florida adding to their lead. If they get the extra point, it'll be 21-7. Nebraska against Washington, the other biggie of the day. And in this one, Scott Frost had been booed at home in his last outing, and he got booed again, although this time he expected it. But he takes off and runs 29 yards on this one, and Nebraska had a 14-0 lead. Frost with both of those. And then Brock Hewitt gets roughed up here.
Yeah, he gets tackled down low. He falls on one of the ankles and gets it twisted. He has to come out of the ball game. Tough break for Washington.
And then down 21-0, though, Marquez Tuiasosopo comes into the game and finds Cameron Cleland and Washington on the board before halftime. 21-7 the score there. They're rushing the ball at will. Nebraska's Florida State against Clemson. They touch the rock before they come on the field. And Brandon Streeter starting at quarterback because Nealon Greene has the bad turf toe. Can't get this high snap. Sam Cowart recovers it in the end zone for the touchdown. Florida State gets the defensive TD and leads 10-7.
Brandon Streeter started, has a 32-yard touchdown run, but he had to leave the game because of a bad shoulder. Nealon Greene playing with a bad toe. Clemson hanging in there at halftime.
Ohio State against Arizona started a little slowly. Stanley Jackson here, 6 yards to David Boston. Ohio State breaks the goose egg and goes up 7-0. And then, how many times have we talked about this guy, Andy Katzenmoyer?
Yeah, the guy makes big plays. He has a nose for the football here. He intercepts a shuffle pass, 20 yards for the touchdown. Ohio State scores 14 points in 14 seconds to take control of the ball game.
21-0 at halftime. Iowa against Iowa State. Tavian Banks, 517 yards in the first 2 games. Well, he has 3 touchdowns today.
Yeah, and 117 yards, off to a great half. In the past, in this game, Troy Davis was the feature back for Iowa State. Now it's Iowa's Tavian Banks.
Michigan State has the lead on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, 20-7 the game in the fourth quarter. Todd Schultz has a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. Number 23, Stanford against Oregon State. Anthony Bookman with a touchdown run there. Kentucky and Indiana for the Bourbon Barrel. Tim Couch, 7 touchdown passes in the game.
You don't think he likes Hal Mummy's new offense? Look at those numbers. 24 of 32. He's extremely accurate. 394 and the school record. He just keeps breaking school records. Today, 7 touchdowns.
15 touchdown passes on the season. Wisconsin finally gets Ron Dane going. 4 touchdown runs for Dane as they blow San Diego State 36-10. Stick around. We'll continue with more of Valvoline Halftime 97 as we continue with ABC's coverage of college football.
Presenting the Valvoline Big Play Rebate and Sweepstakes. Save $4 on a case of Valvoline Motor Oil, and you could win one of 6 Mark Martin signature Ford Thunderbirds. Here comes Mark now. He's up and right on the money. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics.
This wedding was paid for with the help of mutual funds from MetLife. Whatever you're saving for, MetLife can review your options, explain the risks, and help you decide what can work best for you. We'll help you make sense of it all. Get Met. It pays.
Some of the most admired cars are owned by the guys who know cars best. ASE certified master mechanics. And the #1 brand of motor oil top mechanics use is Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline Halftime 97, brought to you by Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics. People who know use Valvoline.
Hi there, I'm looking for a game.
What kind?
Well, I'm looking for NCAA football there, Mike. I want a game so realistic I can actually feel the punishing blows of the Michigan defense. I want to smell the aroma of the University of Colorado mascot. I want to hear the entire tuba section of the Appalachian State Band. I want to touch Howard Rock at Clemson. Do you have such a game, Mike?
No.
Miss Pac-Man?
This is almost my last hour alive, probably. I gotta spend it staring at you. Thank you, God.
Greg's pants. He's not in them right now.
Wednesday, it's Spin City. Dharma and Greg, Drew Carey, and Ellen. If it's a good time you're looking for, check out ABC Wednesdays.
Welcome back. Your second half is straight ahead, but first it's time now to introduce the Burger King Scholar Athlete of the Week Award. During the 97 season, Burger King Corporation and its National Franchise Association will donate $1 million to the general scholarship funds of recipient colleges and universities. This week's featured scholar athlete is Jeremy Lindley, a senior offensive tackle at the University of Southern Mississippi. Lindley, an exercise science major, has a GPA of 3.97 and hopes to pursue a career in medicine. The
medical field intrigues me because I want to help other people. I like the idea of being able to provide a service to someone that only I can provide, or very few in that city can provide.
Jeremy Lindley, the Burger King Scholar Athlete. And this ABC Sports presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Business is a race. For a head start, the Xerox DocuColor 40 lets you print or copy 40 color pages in just 60 seconds. Because in the business world, the tortoise never wins. The Document Company, Xerox.
Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. A little security in an insecure world.
They're back. The team that started it all.
I don't believe this.
Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop 3, ABC tonight.
What's in a name? Big stars, big producers. Eric Roberts, D.B. Sweeney, Angie Harmon, C-16. And what Bochco's NYPD Blue did for law enforcement, he now does for security. James Remar, Jim Belushi, Total Security. ABC Saturday Night Specials in 1 week.
Winning is everything, and no one should settle for less. How do you achieve excellence? Hard work, dedication, going the distance to make the winning play. And if you're looking to buy a new Mercedes, there's only one place to go.
Folks, if you want to feel like a winner, check out Capital Eurocars in Tallahassee. Their great selection of new Mercedes at great prices makes winning easy.
Capital Eurocars of Tallahassee, where excellence drives excellence.
Hello, I'm Dwayne, president of Ford New Holland, Tallahassee, and Decatur Tractor Company of Bainbridge. I'd like to invite you to come by and see our complete line of Exmark commercial mowing equipment, starting with the dependable but heavy-duty 36-inch Metro walk-behind for only $1,995, up to the top of the line Exmark Laser Z that's fast and maneuverable. And through September, we're offering financing with no down payment, no payment till April of '98, with no interest beginning until March of '98 to qualified buyers. Come by and have a cup of coffee with us and let's deal.
Must admit, I was a little surprised when she placed her order.
Who would ask for 23 chickens?
She's a zookeeper.
I know, I made an odd request.
Rotisserie chickens, not raw chickens.
Juiciest in town. Roasting, on the rotisserie spit.
So I asked her, which do you prefer? Barbecue, lemon pepper, or no salt added?
Give me some of each.
That's what she wanted. That was a big order.
What was I going to do with them?
Oh, yeah, I wondered.
For my friends. Animals.
In all great meals, the main ingredient is Publix.
News Channel